This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right. There he is. There he is with the Expos hat. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So what'd you think of the performance yesterday?
Very impressive, particularly on defense. They were good. That first drive had me a little bit concerned because the Patriots were, as they say, matriculating down the field.
They were running in the first half. They adjusted to that run in the second half. You know, congratulations to the defense and the coordinator, because the first half that's kind of what just kind of kept them in the game, that they were able to run and support the pass game a little bit. In the second half, they didn't have the same success running the ball. That was big. Well,
the first drive of the second half, they did as well. No, and then came the big play. And it's funny because I actually pointed this out, that Big Belichick says, well, we're in their territory 6 or 7 times. Well, guess what? Outside of 2 drives, you didn't take one snap inside the Dolphins' 40-yard line. So, let's chill with the 6 or 7 times in their territory. No, they got completely dominated. And remember, we heard all summer long how bad the New England offensive line was and how out of sync their offense was. And it was, and the Dolphins certainly didn't help their cause. And then love the play call on the blitz by Brandon Jones, who does that so well. And it's funny because Belichick's great after games, especially when he loses. Like, yeah, we just didn't pick it up. Well, they asked him what happened on the play. We didn't block it. Well, yeah, thanks, Sherlock. We couldn't figure that out, right? But it was very well designed because Brandon Jones kind of came and snuck in behind Melvin Ingram, and that's who Trent Brown was occupying himself and concerning himself with. And then boom, and then
I keep arguing. I argue with Omar all the time about that kid, and he tells me he's not a ball hawk, and I say he's a goddamn ball hawk. Okay, that guy's got a knack for making plays. I don't know what it is about Brandon Jones, but that dude is around the football or creating plays. I love that. By the way, the pass deflection also was bigger than the other stuff, because the other stuff he normally does. The pass deflection, that's what got me excited, because that's what he's got to work on. I love him as a blitzer. I love him supporting the run. I think he's one of the better strong safeties doing that kind of stuff. But when I saw him deflect that pass, that's what got me excited. That said, there you go. The kid might be turning the corner.
If you're talking about the one near the sideline, that should have been a pick. And Brandon Jones would tell you that should have been a pick. If we're talking about the same play, that should have been a pick. Big O, come on now.
Okay, fine. But he made the play. Come on.
He was there. He had good coverage. Yeah, but if you want to take the next level, I mean, are we satisfied with him being like good to very good, or we want him to be excellent if you can get there?
Whoa, hold on a second. When you go from being told that you can't cover, because that's what they say about Brady. Oh no, he's a liability in coverage. Correct. Okay, well that wasn't a liability, at least. No, that's all I'm saying. Give the kid credit when he deserves the credit. That's all I'm saying. Okay, that's it. That's all I'm saying. Give him a little love. He did make the play. I get it. You want an interception. Okay, I get it.
I have higher expectations for the kid because I care about the kid and I want him to succeed at the highest possible level. And it was a good play. And he had a great game all around. I mean, don't get me wrong. Him and Kader, Kohou in the secondary were awesome.
Kader, I talked about this earlier before he came on. Dude, Kader only played 17 snaps. Mm-hmm. To make that impact in 17 snaps. And we're talking about game-changing plays on 4th down with Hunter Henry. And you're forcing that fumble too? Oh, are you kidding me? Those are 2 of the biggest plays in the damn game.
Without question. Here's the thing, though. We should not take away from, A, the play call, and B, the execution on that 4th down play. If you notice, the Dolphins only rushed 3.
Yes.
And they dropped everybody back in coverage. And Jones had a lot of time. He just could not find anybody. And then kudos to Emmanuel Ogbah for not giving up because he kept coming and coming. Eventually drew the holding penalty. And then Mac Jones at some point, like, hell, I gotta throw it to somebody.
Air it out.
Force it. And then go who made the play.
But to high point the ball where he did with Hunter Henry, and he's half the size of Hunter Henry. I'm just saying, this is why in post game I said, I've seen it. I love Nick Needham, but I love Nick Needham in the slot. From what I've seen in several weeks with Kader Kohou, he's a much better athlete in the air. He's got better body control in the air, and he's got better ball skills in the air than Nick Needham. Nick Needham, stay with the slot. You're going to be on the ground most of the time, and that's where I like you. On the outside, I need you to have the athleticism like X has. Kader has it over Nick Needham. Your thoughts on that?
I'm gonna throw one out to you here, and don't call me crazy, which I know you love calling me crazy, but
of course, you're Canadian.
Oh, thank you very little. Kohou, the only thing Kohou's lacking to me to be a great outside cornerback at this point is I see from a physical. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so how's about this? If he continues on the ascent, which he's showing right now, who's to say that when Byron Jones comes back, he can't challenge Nick Needham for playing time in the slot?
Oh, for sure. He's well. If you run into a bigger, more athletic player, yes, there's no doubt. In fact, Kader's showing you what he did with Hunter Henry. If something happens to Eric Rowe and Brandon Jones at times, you might have to throw his ass in there to cover a tight end, because what he did with Hunter Henry, that was big time, dude. Yep. Big time. I was so impressed with that. Yeah.
No, and then on top of that, he had the tackle for loss on the swing pass, and then he had, was it swing pass or running play? I forget.
No, it was a running play. It was the running play.
Okay, yeah. It was a tackle for loss, and then he had the forced fumble when he threw his shoulder right into Nelson Aguilar. No, I mean,
yeah,
and do that in the limited amount of snaps he got.
Major. And it's like I tell people, just because he's Division II, I want you to know he doesn't have a Division II body. He has a NFL body already too. He's not like the kid that has to hit the weight room. I know he's not a big guy, but for his size, dude, he's built. He is a little fire hydrant. You know what I'm saying? But what I love is the athleticism. That kid can sky. He showed it. Was it the Eagles game, the one where the tip in the middle of the field, or in the preseason game? Which one was the one in the middle of the field? You remember that Kader saw the pass going across in the middle of the field and he jumped up and deflected it. That was a hell of a play on his part in the preseason, because that ball wasn't even intended for his player. And yet he made a play on that ball to deflect it. I love the kid's athleticism for his size.
I do too. And where he caught my eye was in a drill, that one-on-one passing drill that's really, really tough. And he was covering guys like really, really well. And this is like a drill, but for those who don't know it, it's basically one-on-one cornerback against wide receiver. And basically the wide receiver has half the field in width with which to operate. And then it's from the 45-yard line, so they have that length as well. So it puts the defensive back at a major disadvantage. And he was hanging with a lot of guys. The only thing I saw at the time was he was a little bit handsy. And if you could correct that, and that's very correctable. Excuse me, I'm sure Sam Madison's going to be in his ear all the time. Don't get grabby, don't get grabby, don't get grabby.
Mr. Grabby, by the way, because Sam was very grabby in his day.
He was physical. Yes. He was physical. Hey, if they don't call it, it's not a penalty, right? Like on the X play in the end zone.
Yep. By the way, he's got a nickname already on the chat board, Darth Kader. That's amazing. I like that. That's amazing, Darth Kader. That's very a good one. I like it. What we got to do is now when he comes out onto the field, everybody's got to start going dun dun da dun da da dun da da. We got to start doing the Darth Vader theme when Darth Kader comes out. That is awesome. It's too bad Luke Falk is not a quarterback in the league anymore, because he could pick him off and go, Luke, I am your father. That's it, Luke. I am your father. I love it. What do we know about Ethan Carter, bro? Because he's like the backup fullback, so I'm a little concerned about that.
What do you think we know, Big O? Based on the pattern that Mike McDaniel established last week, basically, what we're going to know is if guys get put on IR, we're going to know on Wednesday when the injury report comes out. And in the meantime, chances are we're not going to get anything. Obviously, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it was a concussion, because they ruled him out pretty quickly with a head injury. So applying logic, one would think we're dealing with a concussion here. So depending on the severity of that, who knows how long that keeps him out.
By the way, I had no idea until yesterday when I was listening to the broadcast with a slanted Archuleta that the Dolphins are now 25-0 when leading at halftime.
At home.
At home. Yeah, at home. I had no idea that it was that hell of a record, dude. That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. For
Wow.
a team that has not necessarily had great success and hasn't been in the postseason during that stretch. I don't know how far it dates back, but I'm sure it doesn't date back all the way to 2016. So they've managed that without making the playoffs.
I think it might date back to even farther than that when I'm thinking about it, because you've been so piss poor on offense. How many times do you lead at halftime? So I wonder if it's like a sporadic type of streak that's gone on, because they probably only have a couple games a year where they're really leading at halftime, because that's just not who they are. We're always talking about a team that's struggling on offense. So it can't be.
I'll look it up this afternoon.
Look it up. Yeah, look it up. I wonder when that streak started. I'm really intrigued by it because I don't think there's a lot of games that they lead at halftime when I'm thinking about this. It's not like we're always talking about, oh my God, we always lead at halftime and then they lose in the second half. That's not really the case. They're usually trailing all the damn time, you know? So that's I thought that was an absolutely magnificent stat. All right. Since we always have to talk about the quarterbacks.
We always have to talk about the quarterbacks.
Talk to me about your assessment of Tua's play yesterday.
Solid.
Right. Nothing, not even close to spectacular.
Is that you saying it? Or you?
No, I'm saying not even close to spectacular. The only thing spectacular was 4th and 7. 4th and 7 was spectacular. Spectacular call, spectacular throw, spectacular catch and run. That was the trifecta. And to that, I would leave it as spectacular. That was spectacular. But his performance, I'm with you.
Although I would say, I think the gutsiness of the call has been overplayed. If we're gonna be honest about it, because if you look at the risk reward, there were 24 seconds left. Ball at the New England 42. They don't have a timeout left. The absolute worst case scenario, obviously, is a turnover that they run back. But logically, if it doesn't work and it's an incompletion, let's say it takes 5-6 seconds, the New England's got the ball at their 42 with 18 seconds, no timeouts. Odds of them getting a field goal from that point on are a lot lower than the Dolphins being able to get points by going for it on 4th and 7. So while some coaches actually would have punted, so I give props for Mike McDaniel for going for it. I say, yeah, it was a logical call. Perfect pass. Great job by Waddle to scoot under the two guys.
Everything was perfect. Everything, the call, the pass, the play, that was just absolutely beautiful. There's no doubt.
That was by far Tua's best pass of the game. There were a couple of plays.
To me, he just has to understand who he is. And at times he kind of gets lost on who he is. And I was talking about this before you came on. I don't care if you're Montana, and I don't care if you're Breeze or if you're Fran Tarkenton or whatever. There are certain things you can't do that other guys can do. And one, you're not going to be able to have 2 or 3 guys draped on you and you're going to throw a 30-yard strike. That's not going to happen. And then the other one where he sees the guy coming at him and he tries, the one that was almost intercepted, and he flicks it. You're not the flick guy, bro. You're not the flick guy. You can't flick a 20-yard strike. That's not who you are. So the one thing that I would say, a couple of those brain farts that he has to learn to either take the damn sack or quickly get rid of the ball. I don't blame him on the Judon one up the middle, because Judon kind of hid behind the offensive lineman, and then he shot up right up the middle, and Tua saw him and I timed it. It was 2.8 seconds.
Correct.
Which is,
and he came out of nowhere. I agree.
That's the one that I don't blame him. Everything else, I kind of blame him on those. Yeah. You know what I mean?
He's got to clean that up. And as you mentioned, dude, you can take a sack. It's not the end of the world. Stop trying to throw a pass when you're basically parallel to the ground. Enough with that.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's happened too much. It's happened too much. Right. He has to stop those little brain farts. Okay, I know you want to make a play, but this is how you get injured, because you're trying to continue to hang on to the ball to make a play. Let it go. That's the beauty of Marino, bro. Marino picked the guy and let it fly, but he also said, There ain't nothing here. I'm letting it fly also to the sideline. Just do that, bro.
Right.
Please.
But
That's it.
He's got to get that ingrained into his head. No, but I mean, let's be honest. Like if he finished the season with a 104.4 passer rating, everybody would say that was not correct. But if we're gonna, I'm not sure what we saw on the field yesterday really equated to 104.4. If you want to be honest about it. And,
yeah, but I can also spin it to you and say, if you actually block and run, it might be 115. I'm just saying, he's under duress the entire time again.
He wasn't under duress the entire time again. Come on, bro.
He was.
He wasn't under duress the entire time. He was under duress when he was sacked. Yeah, that happens. On the pass to Waddle up the middle, he had plenty of time. On a throw to Tyreek Hill, he had plenty of time on the 23-yarder down the left side. On the one where Hill stole the ball from the DB because the DB couldn't grasp his hand on it, he had plenty of time.
I don't think those took more than the 3 seconds. I think those were under the 2.8.
He had plenty of time most of the game. So, okay. But the running game didn't help. The average was bad, and that's including 3 end arounds or the backward pass to Cedric Wilson, which got about 7 to 8 yards a pop every time. So outside of that, no, the running game was very, very disappointing.
Yeah, but I don't expect them to fix it in one game. So, the good thing is Armstead came back. I don't know what's going on with Austin. Have you been able to rewatch it overall, how Greg Little did? Because it didn't look like he was terrible.
I'm rewatching it this afternoon. From my initial viewing, I didn't notice anything bad at all with Greg Little, with Hunt, with Armstead. The couple of areas where I kind of grinched a little, or did this a little bit, was with Eichenberg and with Connor.
I keep saying with Eichenberg, I'd put Dieter in there, bro. I'm sorry. I think Dieter's going to take that guard spot when it's all said and done. That's just me. I just keep thinking Eichenberg. If anything, he's a tackle. I just don't look at him as a mauling guard, bro. I just don't see it. But I think Dieter's in that point where he's maturing. I think he's ready to take off. Actually, I really do.
You did notice that it was Liam who swung to left tackle on those 2 plays. Armstead was out, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that makes sense. That's who I would put out there. I think that's where he belongs when it's all said and done. I think he needs to be on the outside. I think they're putting him there because they picked him, and pretty high and all that, and so they want to kind of justify that pick. But for me, Dieter is the guy that's going to end up there at guard and his natural position. All right, what else did I wanted to bring up with you before I let you go? Do you see? I was talking about this before you came on. Is there panic in Belichickville? A lot of money spent in free agency.
That's a bad looking team. Team.
A lot of money spent in free agency last year to try to make up for a bunch of stuff because he saw Brady win the title the year before, and now this year, he's so flustered with the whole Miami situation. He comes down here 5 days earlier, and it doesn't work out. And this whole mess with his offensive coordinators and everything else that he's got going on. I don't know what the hell is going on with Belichick, bro, but I know it's blasphemous to say this, but to me, the wheels are coming off. That's what it looks like. I don't know. You tell me.
No, I don't know if wheels are coming. I don't know if I necessarily use that term, but no, it's not a great looking team. And if I look around the AFC, I have a hard time seeing a path for them making the playoffs.
So then the wheels are coming off, bro. Think about it. Think about it.
In that sense, yeah. There's nothing really that frightens you about that team. I will tell you this: like Kyle Duggar at safety is a hell of a player.
Judon's a hell of a player. There's a couple guys, obviously, that are terrific players, but
on offense, their 2 best players are the 2 running backs, and that'll take you so far, especially since their offensive line is not great. Mac Jones is one of those guys where he has to have great work circumstances around him. And he didn't have that. Nelson Aguilar is just an okay wide receiver. Kendrick Bourne, who's a decent player. I don't know. He played 2 snaps yesterday. I don't know why. And then Devontae Parker will be interesting to see what he does when he doesn't have X following him across the field the entire game and saying, "Nope, you're not catching a pass today." Or he caught one that I don't even think X was on him on that play. So no, I don't see. I wasn't impressed in the least by the Patriots, and now they're at Pittsburgh this Sunday, and I have a hard time seeing them winning that game, even if I don't know what the word is this morning with TJ Watt. Even if TJ Watt's out for the year, that's still a
Watt thing. Obviously, it's a Watt thing to be breaking down constantly. Because damn, dude, that's a hell of a loss, and they suffered last year losses to their pass rushers, which was debilitating. And now you lose this guy, the number one pass rusher in the NFL. Woo, doggy. All right, one more thing. Josh Boyer, what's Poupart give him as a grade overall? Because we talk about Tua and we talk about McDaniel. Well, one of the guys that was under the microscope, Josh Boyer didn't make the calls. Josh Boyer didn't run the defense. It was all flow. He was puppeteering the whole thing. Josh Boyer, I don't know. Why would I stay with that guy? That's really risky. Well, how'd the risk work out so far in week one?
I like how you always put things very simply and mild-manneredly. It's funny.
I mean, I heard it all about Josh Boyer, and it's like, whoa. And and last year he was pretty adamant about, hey, I called the plays. So I don't think you're going to be flat out.
It was this year. And again, what else are you going to say? I'm going to maintain my position. If you don't think Brian Flores' fingerprints were all over that defense, I know,
but apparently he did call the defensive plays, is what he said last year on the back end. So you don't believe that?
He said it this year.
Or this year, whatever that he called it last year.
That's all terminology when it comes to play calling. If Flores is telling, I don't know. Bottom line, let me answer your question. A-. The only reason I wouldn't give him an A, there were a couple of times a touchdown. I don't know if there was a mix-up, if Jalen was supposed to drop back and cover Montgomery out of the flat. That's what it looked like on the replay. Not sure I want Jalen covering Montgomery coming out of the flat. A couple of times they let New England get outside on running plays. Got jammed up inside, but I mean, it's hard to complain. They gave us 7 points. They scored a touchdown themselves.
Yeah. 7 points, 3 turnovers. Yeah. You know, I just I have a hard time. Yeah, A- is good. You know, A+, that's for a bigger opponent and a bigger moment. So I get it. But yeah, I'll go with an A-. I think that's a fair one. All right, follow him on Twitter at Poupart NFL. What are you working on alldolphins.com? The page that every Dolphin fan needs to bookmark all over the world. What are you working on, sir?
Well, this morning I did the analysis of the snap count, some interesting things, including Mike Gesicki, which after one game would bring up again the question, why in the hell did they tag that guy? Among other things. This afternoon, as I mentioned, I'm going to rewatch the game and do the report card off of that. Mike McDaniel speaking to the media later this afternoon at 4:30. We'll see what he has to say and see what needs to be written off of that. And there'll probably be other 12 to 15 other things as well.
If the Cowboys come and knocking and say, we'll give you a 3rd rounder for Teddy Bridgewater, are you doing it?
Boy, that's a good question.
I know you would have said no to a 4th or 5th, because I probably would have said no to a 4th or 5th.
No, correct.
A third, I might just do this. I might just be crazy enough, even though you really need Teddy in the quarterback room. I got to be honest. But I don't know. Maybe I could go find another veteran quarterback that can hang out with us and still play Skyler if I had to.
No, correct. And the other part of that is I know people are throwing that out there, and it's like, if the Cowboys were going to be that quick to call teams in the event of a Dak injury, then why wouldn't they have just signed somebody in the offseason instead of going with Cooper Rush? You know?
Don't know. But I know this. None of us are shocked that Dak Prescott got injured. That I can tell you.
Oh, that's a fluke, though. I mean,
I know it's a fluke, but it's just the guy gets injured. It's just whether it's flukish or not, he just seems to get injured all the damn time, man. The poor guy. I mean, it is what it is. I feel bad, but they're probably, the Garoppolo thing, the way Trey played, they may still hang on. They may still hang on to him because it's a cheap contract now. And now you look at, okay, what other backup can you go for? Teddy Bridgewater might be the guy that can manage the game for them and try to keep it alive for him, even though I still don't think with Teddy they get to the playoffs anyway. But what the hell? You're not in a great division. I'm just saying Miami could, and you already lost a third rounder thanks to Mr. Ross and Mr. Beal. Here's a chance to make up for that third rounder.
Yeah, and here's the other thing too, and I want to bring up this point because I know you tend to harp on the Dolphin offensive line being mediocre. Have you looked at what Dallas's offensive line looked like? But how about
and they
Green
lost
Bay's?
They lost Connor McGovern yesterday too.
They did, and how about Green Bay's offensive line?
I know
there's a lot of that going on. Okay, it's not just the Dolphins. The teams with very good offensive lines are really, really few and far between. Yep. And that's why the Eagles on the surface look like they're an okay team, except they have a very, very good offensive line, which is why
college football has screwed the NFL in such a way. It's not because all they do is pass, and a scout's job is near impossible to figure out what a road grader looks like because you don't get to see the guy with a hand in the ground and driving somebody on a consistent basis. So I can't imagine scouting offensive linemen in today's NFL. Mm-hmm. It's just impossible, dude. Impossible.
Correct. That's why there are so few really good offensive lines.
Yeah, and I bet there's a lot of good ones slipping right through the cracks, and they're going off to work in whatever doctors and whatever policemen or whatever they're going to be. They're going to be something else, and they easily could have been a road grading guard or somebody in the NFL. They just didn't get the shot because whatever system they were in. Yep. It sucks, dude. It sucks. It happens in basketball now, and that's why I think the Heat has been so good at finding street guys because you have so many kids leaving from high school to some pro league or whatever that you have no feel for these guys anymore. They go to college for 1 year, and you used to see a guy for 3 to 4 years under Dean Smith. Now you know what he is like for 3 to 4 years under Denny Crum and John Thompson, all that. You don't get that anymore. It gets that much harder, so guys are slipping through the cracks. And we're having some of that now in the NFL, unfortunately. Sucks.
Without question.
All right, follow him on Twitter at Poupart NFL and catch his work there at alldolphins.com, covering it for Sports Illustrated. We'll catch up later in the week, my friend. Thank you for taking time.
Sounds good. You be good.
You got it. There you go. Our EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins report. Get those fantasy football questions ready. Our number 3 is about to take off. Our Sports Grill Fantasy Football Zone. The one and only Andy Barron's ready to go deep for you. Our number 3 is next.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.